Who is another great horror villain that you would love to see time travel introduced into their plot?
Oh my God. I mean,
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
I'm going to jump into this. I feel like this movie is making me realize how much I would love to see time travel introduced in other horror films. So, who is another great horror villain that you would love to see time travel introduced into their plot?
oh my God. I mean, it's a different villain in each of the franchises, but I do think Ghostface, like a legit Ghostface travel, like back. If Ghostface went back in time, I think that would be pretty.
Oh, right now the studio is behind the scenes going, yeah, that sounds really good. We're going to do that. So I'm going to tell I was raised on the slasher movies of the 80s. It's kind of one of the reasons I fell in love with film the way I did. Many people were raised on those movies. I'm sort of curious for you, what are the aspects of that sort of that subgenre of horror that you most wanted to embrace? And what are some aspects that you were like, I'm okay not doing that?
I mean, I'm a huge fan of the 80s slasher movies as well, but even like all of the, I think the original Friday the 13th, that starts out with the POV shots. I mean, I just love how um just anything was possible, like nobody checked their swings. It was gruesome, it was brutal. I think for me, like I probably like would do away with the virgin tropes, like the bad girl having sex gets killed.
Number one, you can never have sex.
But because they are tropes, like we can reference them in a meta way that I think is really fun. But I would lean into all the gore, all the horror for sure.
I feel like you'll appreciate this. I was in a store with my girlfriend the other day, and there were all these horror movie posters, and she's like, "Oh my God, look at all of them!" And there was one that was Friday the 13th, and it was Jason in a hockey mask, and I was like, "That's not right." And she was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "It should like Jason is." That's not Jason in Friday the 13th. It should be Mrs. Boyd. She's like, "Oh my God, who am I dating?" Like that. Like those are the things that bug me. Those are the things that keep me up at night.
Absolutely. I hope you complained.
Very much so. And I was like, he doesn't get the hockey mask till part 3, and he's a kid in part 1. So I'm curious when and I asked this question without getting into spoilers. When you're directing whoever the actor is who plays the killer, how do you direct them differently than you direct the other actors? Do you give this person different notes than you give the actors who aren't the killer?
I mean, it's just a separate session, so you sort of sit down with the actor and you kind of go through the movie just on that level. So it's like whatever scenes they're in, what are you playing here? How much are you hiding? Because you do want to get, do we give a little glimpse of something? Is there a flash? And so we shoot different versions of that. And then as we assemble in post and in the edit, we're like, that's too obvious. Like, no, if we go to this, no way. So like, let's take this out. So it's working with the actor, and then it's also giving yourself options to either go to it or not, depending on how much you want to lean on it.
I watched this with my girlfriend, and seriously, at one point throughout the whole movie, she would just go, "That person's the killer. That person." And I go, I said, "You realize you've named every person in the movie, right? Like you think so. So well done. So you did it very well." I'm gonna cut you loose on this. I want to talk about the death days for people on set. Are there any special ceremonies that whenever you're shooting someone's last day, whenever you're shooting someone's death, that you have a special way of sending them off?
I mean, these actors are so well. I mean, we have so many great scream queens in this movie that it's pretty much just like a final scream, I would say. Like knowing that this is it, and just like scream us into the night. That's it.
I love that. Well, I could talk with you all day. Luckily, you're going to be on my podcast in like 20 minutes, so I'm going to swing back through. So hopefully you didn't hate this interview because you got to deal with me in about 20 minutes. So seriously, I love the film, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I look forward to talking to you more.
All right, I'll be right back.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.